This is a SolarBurner here. Most of you are familiar with this one already that have been to our site. I just want to give a few tips, ideas, suggestions on this SolarBurner here, the Parabolic. Most of you will notice something I didn't have the first time in here, and that's a barbecue grate. I use this for more stability on top of the burner plate here, so that if you have small size pots and pans it won't slip through. And it just gives it a lot more stability here, and it allows you to catch a quicker focal point too when you're focusing it as well before you put your pot or pan up there. Also, you may have noticed underneath here I've got some wheels on here, caster wheels that I took from an old shop vac. This newer model of the SolarBurner actually has holes in the feet or the base plates down here, so you can put some caster wheels in there. It allows for easier maneuvering and movement of your SolarBurner out on your deck or on your patio. Some people have asked about how much weight can be put on this cooker here. I've had up to about 30 pounds on here, because with this solar cooker you can do pressure cooking on here. It's hot, it gets hot enough to where you can pressure cook with it. But some pressure cookers are very large in size, and so when you get them filled up with jars of food or fruit and stuff like that with the water in that, you can have a lot of weight up here. So if you're going to put something really heavy on here, you might want to find some way to brace this pot receptacle here so it's got a little extra support on it. But otherwise, as is, I've actually had up to 30 pounds of food with the pot and the pan and water and everything on here. We do corn on the cob, we do deep frying on here, we do potatoes and all kinds of different things here, rice and pasta, grilling up scrambled eggs and sausage and bacon and cracked wheat and oatmeal. So it's a very fast, efficient cooker, and this is the one that you can use for pressure cooking. We do carry a small size pressure cooker now. It's a black one, and it works very well with this. So if you're wanting something that's portable as well, we do carry that type of a pressure cooker. It's not the really large size though. Some people have asked about this surface. How quickly will it wear out? I've had my same surface on my particular cooker for 3 years, and I still haven't changed it yet, and it still works just as effectively as the day I first got it. This particular one here that we're using at the store has some wrinkles in it. Some people wonder about that. Yeah, it has some bubbles and some wrinkles, but despite that it still generates up to 850, 900 degrees Fahrenheit in the focal hot point there. When you're cooking on here too and doing deep frying, most people wonder and worry about, splattering and grease on here. That can be a concern, but if you use deep pans and pots, then you don't have near the splattering and of grease onto the surface of the Parabolic. And when you do finish up cooking that, just have a pot of water with some dish detergent, put that on there and let that heat up. So you've got some boiling hot water there. Take a rag and some tongs and just wipe quickly over the surface there. It takes 30 seconds to do that, and then spray it off with a hose. In fact, I spray my cooker off with a hose more often than I wipe it off, just because wiping it off even with a soft cloth, you get a lot of dust and dirt on here. Soft, even that can be abrasive on here, so it's best to just spray it off. And even though it has an adhesive surface on here, a reflective surface, I still spray mine off, and I haven't had mine peel off at all, and it still works great. Some people worry about sunshine. I just know when to avert my gaze, so I don't always look into the bright, shiny spots all the time, but most people would be best off if they use sunglasses. So that's a very good item to have on hand if you're going to be cooking with one of these here. As far as keeping it protected and covered in that, some people wonder, well, where do I keep something like this, because it's sort of large. I keep mine inside of my garage. I just roll it out a couple feet and I've got it readily available to cook anything I want at the time. But if you can't keep it inside of your garage, people keep it in a carport. Some will turn it upside down, pull out this pot receptacle here, turn it upside down and invert it so it's protected from the weather that way. I've kept mine outside covered under a tarp or a large tablecloth. That works as well. I have a customer in Salt Lake who keeps his outside of his business covered under a tarp, so he's readily has it available anytime he wants to use it. Let's see, pots and pans that you use on here, steel gauge, heavy gauge pots and pans are what should be used on here. Don't use it with light gauge aluminum or anything like that, because it'll scorch and burn through it right away very quickly. Some people wonder about using a heat sink on here, like a plate of a cast iron or something like that, or a steel plate, so the heat's not so directly onto the pot. That's perfect. That works great too. So the heat's not going directly to the pot, but it acts as a heat sink and it distributes the heat before it gets into the pot as well. Some people have asked about baking on here. This isn't the best one or most conducive to baking, but you can do that if you can find some sort of a system that'll make you sort of an oven around your cooking pans, like a bread pan or a cake pan. Like take a large size Dutch oven and put your cake pan inside of it on top of a trivet. Then it's not receiving that direct hot spot to where it would scorch and burn the bottom of the cake and cook it very unevenly. So if you can rig something like that, that makes a sort of an oven interior on top of this, you could use it as an oven. But this is most conducive to stovetop applications. Anything you do on your stove, you can do with this, and it'll do it just as quickly as your stovetop will do it also. In fact, we can deep fry bread, scones and stuff just as fast as we do with any of our electric or gas powered fryers. Because this one gets very, very hot, it can set things on fire very rapidly. As you notice here, about 3 seconds and your wood's burning on fire. So some people get a little leery, a little afraid of this, say, oh, I wouldn't have this around the kids. Teach your kids how to use it, how to respect it, how to handle it. You have no problem. My kids use it all the time, and they have no problem with it at all. Oh, and the other thing, make sure that you have this on steady, even ground. If you notice, mine's slightly tilted here because I'm not on a very level, even driveway here. But if you have to, just adjust under your legs until you've got it very steady and level. That way you won't have any concerns about things possibly tipping over or falling off. That's where the grate here also helps to keep it more stable as well, so my pots aren't having any tendency to tip over.